Shri Guru Charana Kamalebhyo Namaha. Sri Shukdev Goswami says, O King Parikshit, those who are wise and realized devotees, they do not become disturbed by happiness and distress. They remain equipoised, balanced in their happiness or in their difficulties. The conducts and deeds of such great personalities are always auspicious. Whatever they do it properly, perfectly. Their happiness and their anger, their being pleased and their anger bring good results. Means even if they are angry on somebody, that is only for their good. Their anger or their being pleased don't go in vain. They do anything and everything to uplift the mankind to the spiritual platform. That is their nature. Supplying food, clothes, and their needs is just material. That is not called real help. But saintly people, they are interested in helping in such a way that their soul gets uplifted to the spiritual world. In reality, those people are glorious who become devotees, sincere devotees. Because becoming devotee is the goal of human life. It does not matter what form a devotee is in, male, female, civilized, uncivilized, black, white, any nation, any gender, or any background they have come from, or what kind of species they will acquire in next life, they always remain glorious. That is the position of a sincere devotee. They are always honored in every species of life they take birth in by the demigods. Demigods honor the devotees. Sri Shukdev Goswami says that when Indra exited from the stomach of Vṛtrāsura by tearing off his stomach, Vṛtrāsura fell on the ground. His mouth was still very wide open. His arms were cut off. His stomach was wide open. His tongue was outside, exiting, tongue coming out. In this situation, Indra thought, let me cut his head off. So Indra used all his energy to cut his head, but he could not because this demon was such a gigantic personality. Indra worked hard, coming from this side to that side, to that side, to this side, and chanted the holy name of the Lord, prayed to him. please help to cut his head off. So while Indra was cutting the head off, Vṛtrāsura was praying to the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord took his four-armed form and stood in front of the eyes of Vṛtrāsura. Nobody except Vṛtrāsura could see the Supreme Lord. तुम सामने हो मेरी जब प्राण तन से निकले. That is the desire of a real devotee. That real devotee wants the Supreme Lord to stand in front of their eyes while departing from their body. That is the will, actual will of a real devotee. Everybody may will, but Lord don't come except to a real devotee. Real devotee's prayers, Lord listens. See, Indra took 1 whole year to cut his head off. And because Lord was in front of him, when his spirit exited the body from Vṛtrāsura, Lord sent that spirit to his abode, to the spiritual world, from where there is no return. Hearing this, Saunaka Rishi, who headed 88,000 rishis in Naimisharanya, asked his spiritual master on behalf of all the sages to Sutta Goswami, O Gurudeva, when the demigods took the bones of Dadhichi Muni from his ashram, at that time Dadhichi Muni's wife was not there. She had gone to jungle behind the cows, taking some brahmacharis with her. When she returned from the jungle to ashram, please narrate what happened in the ashram. Okay, now Vṛtrāsura is dead. That subject is closed. What happened in the ashram when his wife Gavhasthini returned with cows and brahmacharis from jungle? Sri Sutta Goswami replied, O Saunaka, when Gavhasthini returned with the cows and brahmacharis to ashram, she made all the cows and calves tied to their respective place, and she sent the brahmacharis and the students to their respective residing place, and she entered in the ashram. And she did not find her husband. Usually her husband could be seen. And she looked at the plants and trees, they were all bent down, upset. They faded away. And the birds were all saddened, they can see, felt. She looked everywhere, she could not find her husband. She wondered what happened. Oh, okay, now I can ask, she said, she thought. Let me ask the fire god. Dadhichi Muni would perform everyday sacrifice, but he would not light the fire every day. So fire was always present 24 hours a day in his fire sacrificial arena. That pit always had fire. So she asked the fire god about her whereabouts of her husband. In those days, the human beings, male and female, were so pure and perfect that they could even talk with the demigods and get answers from them. So she asked the fire god about Whereas husband, what happened? So fire god narrated the whole history what had taken place. He is also, fire god is also demigod. And demigods wanted help, so he narrated correctly but properly. So Gavhasthini, the wife of Dadhichi Muni, would not misunderstand and get angry. So he presented in rightly but truly. She got upset because departure of her husband. She was pregnant and very few days, very near, she has to give birth to a child. She could not do anything because she felt that she could not curse the demigods to turn them into ashes because her husband voluntarily relinquished his body with austerity and tapasya by controlling his life air. Nobody pushed him in any way to do anything. Nobody forced him to do anything. He did by himself. That's why she, as per the law, not supposed to curse the demigods or anybody. So she could not curse. She could not relinquish her body to follow her husband where he had gone, to be there, because she was pregnant. So she waited for childbirth. When, after a few days, some days, she gave birth to a boy. And because she was in a hurry to go and be with her husband in the spiritual world, she took that newly born child to the trees. Said, "Oh trees, please take care of my child properly." In those days, they may be trees, but they could relate with human beings. And they could do many things as human beings could do. Only after Treta Yuga, Lord Rama cursed them, they could not do what human being can do. Since then, the trees became the trees we see today. Before that, this is the situation happening. So she placed the baby in the cavity of a pippala tree. Pippala is a holy banyan tree. Like a banyan tree, but it's not exactly banyan tree, but it's in the same family, but it's a holy tree. And she performed austerity and controlled her birth and gave up her body. So the newly born baby was taken care by pippala tree specially. All the trees took care, helped in some ways, but pippala tree, because she left in the cavity of a pippala tree, that banyan tree, that pippala tree took care of the baby and brought him up. When child grew up, he became learned in the scriptures. And because pippala tree grew him up, brought him up, so nourished him in every way possible and made sure that he got educated, his name was given as Pippalada. Means one who was taken care by pippala tree. See? His name became Pippalada. So because he grew up and became learned, he was wondering, I have no parents. So he wanted to know from pippala tree what happened to his parents. How come he has no parents? So pippala tree gave him whole episode. how his parents departed, what was the reason and all that, the Pippala tree told. Hearing his parents departed untimely due to fulfilling the motives of demigods, Pippalada became angry on the demigods, thinking that because the demigods wanted to fulfill their desires, their motivation, they reached to my father to get his bones. So my father untimely relinquished his body so they could win their kingdom. So they are the culprits for my father's untimely departure from this world, which is true, seems true. And my mother also left untimely because my father. So they are the original cause, demigods. Thinking this, he became very angry and wanted to destroy the demigods. The demigods are always in trouble some way or other. So better we not desire going to heaven, we should desire going back to Godhead. Because demigods live in the heaven and people think all the religions teach you to go to heaven. They think heaven is everything. The pandits, the sacrifice, all these people, they teach you how to go to heaven and all that. Heaven is all problems every time. Why we go to heaven, go to God? Be sincere devotee, chant Hare Kṛṣṇa. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Chanting sincerely under the direction of a pure and perfect spiritual master, you will go to such a place from where there is no return. The place is called Vaikuntha. Vai means no, and Kuntha means anxiety. There is no anxiety, there is no trouble, there is no lamentation, there is no hankering, there is no fight, there is no quarrel, there is no tension of any kind. One does not fall from that place. Let's go to that spiritual world. So, Pippalada performed great austerity to please Lord Shiva because he thought there is no sufficient time. I got very little time, so who is that demigod who will help me in very little time? So Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva became pleased and came to him and said, what do you want? So I want all the demigods to be killed. Please create Kṛtya. Kṛtya is a female personality, very cruel and only kills, only destroys. That is her job. Kṛtya. So Lord Shiva did. So Kṛtya asked Pippalada, what do you want from me? So Pippalada told Kṛtya, you go to heaven and destroy all the demigods. She reached heaven and attacked the demigods. Demigods are very powerful too. So they immediately thought, how it happened? Pippalada sent, who created this Kṛtya? And Lord Shiva. So they reached Lord Shiva. Demigods came to Lord Shiva, pacified him, and told him to go to Pippalada and stop this Kṛtya. We as demigods cannot go to pacify and beg pardon to Pippalada because he is angry at present. So please, you go, they told Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva came to Pippalada, pacified him, and he called Kṛtya, Pippalada called Kṛtya back and told her to go back in her place. In this way, Pippalada became pacified. When Pippalada became pacified, the Supreme Lord sanctioned Dadhichi Muni and his wife Gavhasthini sit on a palanquin, spiritual aeroplane, and descend in front of your son, Pippalada, and bless him. So, Dadhichi Muni and Gavhasthini, both parents, sitting on a palanquin, reached Pippalada. Pippalada was sitting, and they blessed and introduced themselves to Pippalada and blessed him to become a very famous and honored sage. Pippalada is a very honored sage in Vedic civilization. Parents went back to Godhead again, left there. Sri Suta Goswami then says to 88,000 rishis, O sages, I have told you about what happened to Gavhasthini and Pippalada. Now I tell you further that Sri Shukdev Goswami told King Parikshit. Suta Goswami is telling. Suta Goswami is telling the sages that Sri Shukdev Goswami told King Parikshit, O Parikshit, after the death of Vṛtrāsura, all the demigods and sages became pacified. But Indra did not. He was very upset because he killed a Brahmin. We will discuss this on later day. Thank you very much.